discussion. We firmly believe that when we put our heads together and we discuss issues, we could come up with answers to address the challenges that face in agriculture.
Yep.
We don't have to depend on the old imperial power, whether it is Europe, whether it is Russia, whether it is China. When you ask them to solve your problem, they're making more problem for you and they're solving theirs. We have enough people that have had tertiary education. Remember, our forefathers sent their sons and daughters into university because they wanted to control the factors of production.
Mm-hmm.
They had labor
Mm-hmm.
and they had capital,
Mm-hmm.
but they didn't have initiative. So they send our sons and daughters away to go to university to get initiative.
Yeah.
They make sacrifices. Our brightest sons and daughters.
Yep.
What we had coming back was some regurgitators and some commission agents for the multinational corporation.
Mm-hmm.
So now we have Joshua with us, and I'm going to put Joshua on the line. Joshua, how do we address the challenges facing our farmers in Grenada?
Well, I think addressing the challenges is very easy. What we've not had is the will, for agriculture. Because in time to come, people might think what I'm saying at the moment is pie in the sky. But in time to come, farmers will control the world, because without food, you don't have any existence. And as the population grows, food will become increasingly more and more important. So farmers in time, whether they like it or not, or whether others like it or not, will control the world. Now, what do we need to do in Grenada to address the issues that are facing our farmers? The first thing that we have to do is to recognize that farming has not been made a priority under the NNP government, neither is it a priority under the NDC government. Farming is given lip service, and that's about it. When you look at the actual substance in terms of support for agriculture, you don't see it. As Mr. Pierre said, we hear this talk about linking agriculture to tourism, and now they even expanded to linking agriculture to tourism with health. And of course, as a idea or as a concept or as a theory, it's great. But what have they done in terms of putting steps in place, putting strategy in place to make that a reality? Nothing has been done to make that a reality. Who has been looking at the issues of linking agriculture to tourism?
Is it fair to say nothing and nothing significant are not much?
I think you're more
Because
accurate.
they're going to take issue with you if you say nothing.
Yeah, but I think you're right. Nothing significant is probably the proper term. So excuse me for my colloquial language. And remember, I'm trying to provoke.
The thing's so bad that when we look at what they do, we say it's nothing.
Yes.
But they go argue with us because they could argue with us.
Yes.
Remember, you're dealing with the intelligentsia.
Yes.
They write thesis, they write book.
Yeah.
And when they speak, farmers will say they're real good,
Yeah.
When you ask a farmer what he good in,
Yeah.
the man saying speaking.
Yeah. So let me address it, what needs to be done. The first thing that needs to be done, practical things, if anybody out there is listening or want to help solve the problems of our country. The first thing that has to be done, we have to have accurate data. We have to know the food import bill, what are the top things? It tend to be the top importation that we have, tend to be something like gasoline. But in terms of food, you'd see chicken there, close to the top or at the top.
But how much millions do you think come in chicken?
Well, in terms of chicken, we average between 15 million and 20 million a year. It varies, and the chickens that come in tends to be chicken parts, not whole chicken, not breast or whatever, back and neck, leg quarters, wings. Those are the parts
Foot.
that come in. But the chicken that makes the most money tends to be the chicken breast. So that is the kind of thing. And in terms of a money value, we're looking at about, say, 30 million. People don't hold me to that as Mr. Pierre say, because I'm taking like averages. It varies from year to day. But we could say on average about 30 million EC dollars is spent on importation of chicken. And then if you want to believe the economists, they say whatever you spend to get the real value and to get, the money circulation value of that, you have to do it 7 times. So, if you do like 30 million, so 90, 180 million, so say 210 million or 200 million, we could have, according to the economists, 200 million circulating in our rural economy if we were able to do an import substitution project. And what I mean by that is that rather than importing the product, we grow it in Grenada. We have two major producers that are gearing up ready to produce. But in order for them to produce successfully, government have to make sure the regulations and the legislation is in place so they can create a level playing field for our local producer. Because we're a country that tends to do legislation for those outsiders, foreign direct investors. We don't do legislation to build our country. And I'll give you a prime example of this. I've spoken about it several times, and Mr. Pierre can bear testament. We have the hotel situations now where in many cases, the foreign direct investors doesn't have to bring any investors, any investment money. He gets the money from the CBI, and they develop the hotel. They get all the concessions, and they good to go, making a lot of money. Maybe 90% of that money is extracted from Grenada. We're lucky if we get 5% or 10% remaining in Grenada. So one has to wonder: is this type of investment really benefiting the country? And I would say emphatically, no, it's not.
You talk about legislation. Who is responsible for the appropriate legislation? We know anytime you talk about legislation, you have to involve the government, parliament. But if already they don't care, who is the one that's supposed to facilitate, motivate, direct the legislatures to pass the legislation?
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have a system to motivate and to encourage and to develop legislation. All we have is a four-year window. At the end of the 4 year, we vote people out. We don't vote people in. We vote them out. But if you have a good and a competent government that seeks the interest of the people, you will have the government prioritizing the areas of development that will assist the country.
You have to be very careful with that,
Yes.
Because all government tell you they seek the interests of the people.
But
So which people?
Yeah.
You have to have a government that seek the interests of the farmers, not the people.
Yeah.
Sometimes the farmers is not recognized as people.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me tell you about the CBI, and these are my personal observation and views. Now, I see the CBI as being very lucrative, but lucrative to who?
For who?
For who? Who is the CBI lucrative for? Can anybody
You
tell
think
me?
farmers is asking this question?
Well, I think in many ways farmers' representative have to ask this question. When
You think the farmers representative asking this question?
well, I don't want to personalize.
Well, let me say, in my experience, the farmers have had the worst representation in history. You're going to do a comparability with the trade union. The trade union is very upfront, proactive, and sick they tough. They want the biggest part of the pie, of the cake.
Yeah.
You have the Chamber of Commerce.
Good for them.
Yeah. You have people in culture
Yes.
who make a lot of noise.
Yeah.
By the time they finish whine on the stage, they believe government must. You have that. But the farmers, over the years, have had the worst representation in the country.
I don't
You
know.
don't have to agree with that.
No.
I'm establishing a fact from
But
my perspective.
I had liked Clouden, and Clouden always to me was trying his best with the little resources that he.
Clouden was very visible,
Yes.
very sensational.
Yes.
But
he raised the issue.
he jump up, he put Prittlal on his back,
Yeah.
whack with the water boots.
Yeah.
But was Clouden able to organize and motivate the farmers,
No.
or to influence
Government
the
policy.
political directorates?
No.
I doubt not.
No.
So obviously, if we're going to speak about appropriate legislation, the farmers must know exactly what are the legislation that we want.
Okay, so let
They
me.
must make it an issue.
Yeah, so Mr. Pierre, give me a chance to answer that, because that is a question that's often never answered, never understood. So let me take it sector by sector. So in terms of, the hotel and the linkage, the hotel sector is set up in a way that it basically runs itself independently of farming, independently of the country needs. So, and the way that has been established is by government. Government have basically tied the farmers' hands behind their back and asked them to compete in terms of linking agriculture to tourism. So they give the hotels so much concession without consulting with the farmer or the farming representative and say, what are the needs of the farming community? What is the overall need of Grenada as a country in terms of developing? What is the need of the foreign direct investors? What they do is to look at the needs of the foreign investor, look at the benefits to those who are benefiting, the Grenadians who are benefiting from the foreign direct investment and the CBI. And I could tell you from observation, I could be wrong, the people who are benefiting from the CBI program is a tragedy. It's a real tragedy. It seems that the only people benefiting are essentially, the foreign direct investor and the lawyers. Those are the direct beneficiaries. The trickle-down effect to the country. Government might argue, well, we have the transformation fund and we're building bridges and roads, but that in itself is a little bit of help. But we don't see the amount that goes into the transformation fund. We don't see the amount of roads and bridges that it's built. And what we're saying now is that agriculture has lost or contracted 6% of what it used to produce. Now is the time for fresh thinking. The transformational fund has to be used towards developing agriculture, because without food security, we are going nowhere.
Do you think the farmers concerned about that? Are they curious? Are they asking, what do you do with this money?
I think, the question that you pose is a great question. But as always, we want the farmer to be a legislator, a policymaker, a businessman, a farmer, and, irrigation specialist.
Why not?
Well, these are too much.
If agriculture is the breadbasket of the country, why the farmer cannot be all that?
Well, when you look at specialization and the amount of priorities that you're asking the farmer to do, it's really too much. It's like last week we were talking, and it dawned on me, the farmers are supporting everybody.
Well, why they supporting everybody and not themselves?
Yes, because the system is rigged against them.
Well,
I think,
remember, remember, the people in the country decided they wanted to control the factors of production. They had land, they had labor, but they did not have initiative. So they send their brightest sons and daughters to get initiative. But when the sons and daughters come back, they abandon the farmers.
yeah, that is a sad case, but it doesn't mean that the politician and the policymaker have to abandon the farmer because
What does the farmer do? Because in the final analysis, the farmer must have a direct, simple answer. What do I do? So what do I do to get the appropriate legislation? What legislation I want?
yeah, and in many ways, the farmers will not always be in a position to articulate that. So farming, like many other industries, have to have representative that can articulate what the farmers need. The farmer will come and complain in the rum shop or complain on the street.
Where the farmer children, where the children the farmers send to university to learn to get initiative.
They're in America, Canada,
And the
and
farmers say they like these children. These children is bad-minded. They turn against the parents. But the farmers still want the children approval. The biggest trickery to farming in the Caribbean is the farmers' children.
I know, and I speak from personal experience because I
It's
have.
so easy to say your child is a bandit, you know. That hard. When I watch some farmers, I just want to cry. The farmers invested so much money in some bad children.
Yeah. So let me tell you this, and I'm going to give you the evidence of your statement. I come from an agricultural farming family.
You guilty too?
Huh? You know,
All of us guilty.
all of us. And then my auntie and uncle had about maybe 10 or 11 children. You know, not one of them became a farmer. One is a retired judge. One is a deceased, two are doctors. One is a deceased doctor. One doctor still practicing. One is a pilot businessman. Another one is a businessman. Another one is a navigator. The point is, not one of them, you know, has remained on the land. And I'm talking about real land, you know. We're talking about
Not joke land, you know.
not joke
Real
land,
land.
real land, you know. And I guess a little bit to my credit, I've been trying to revive the land with their permission lately, but it's hard when you're
You
trying
see,
to
I,
revive
I,
land.
I constantly to say to people, we have to face the truth. We have to face the truth. It's easy to blame, but it's not a question who caused what. What do we do now? And that is why we're on radio. That is why we're on social media. We are provoking discussion.
Yeah.
And all of us is guilty. Joshua, me, you, everybody. And even if we had no relationship with the land, and even if we never went to get to university to get initiative, we were wrong giving chorus. We're guilty too.
Yeah.
But no, what do we do? And one of the factors is to get the appropriate legislation.
Yes, and let me explain who has to do that. And it's not a want of saying government doesn't know. Government is fully aware of the legislation that needs to be put in place for the poultry industry, and I could say that with confidence, because you know, not only was I involved in terms of these things, and also involved in making sure that they went to government, but farmers actually paid to get these things done on behalf of government and sent it to government, because we know in terms of our technical people in government, often we don't have the quantum of people that we need to kind of move the country forward. So rather than blaming government, you know, I know that sector took it on themselves and forked out the money so that these things can move forward. And unless we put these things in place, what we're doing is creating creating an environment for failure. We are going to create an environment where poultry that's imported, it's going to be like 100% cheaper than our locally grown poultry. We need to even the playing field and stop playing lip service to food
Do
security.
any Caribbean country export poultry?
Barbados export poultry.
Poultry parts.
Yeah, Guyana export poultry, and
Jamaica don't export
Jamaica export
because Jamaica have passed one of the better organized.
Jamaica is one of the big 100 poultry companies in the world. Jamaica virtually control the poultry industry in Florida.
What's about Trinidad?
Trinidad as well has a massive poultry industry. They have a
but they eat a lot of meat too. So
they have a different system, a system that, and I'll show you how powerful Trinidad is. Trinidad have this system whereby they go and kill chicken by the roadside. Boom, 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 boom. They show you in the cage which one you want, and they do then for you. Now, and people take their fresh chicken and they go. So a lot of people believe that, chicken should not be killed by the road. They should be killed in an abattoir. But Trinidad is so powerful.
Deal with the practicality of things. You deal with that when you bring the abattoir.
Yeah.
Right now, I want me chicken kill. I want it sell a killing right.
Yeah. So that's
my grandmother been eating that. Nobody ended.
Yeah. So that's
because if the farmers have to study how the other half die. I think there is a book or something on how the other half die.
Yeah. So
you've been doing something for 100 years. You ended. Yeah. They come and tell you if you do it, you go dead. Yeah. You stop doing it.
Yeah.
And then you buy from them.
Yeah. So Trinidad is chicken. Trinidad sells more chicken than anybody else in terms of the KFC. I think they have this square that they sell it for.
We don't bring chicken from Trinidad because of Newcastle disease.
Yes.
We have a disease that has made the children, chicken look like they're walking backwards. And because Trinidad have that disease, Grenada don't even bring eggs from Trinidad.
Yeah.
We bring it from Barbados.
Yeah.
But probably we get it cheaper from Trinidad, but we don't bring it from Trinidad.
Yeah. So I'm isolating the poultry industry because I know it at the back of my hand, and I'm actually wearing one of the farm shirts at the moment because that farm is.
And you believe poultry is going to take off?
I know it's going to take off. There's been over 60 million new investment in the poultry industry. Okay. They've kept it quiet because they don't want to raise people's
because every time we talk about things, sometimes we feel.
Yeah.
So we keep quiet.
Yeah, but they're going to be doing contract farming with farmers. They are going to approach the GDB and to see if they can do a collaboration in terms of the funding. And Mr. Pierre, I have an experience I must share with you. I was at the GDB last week with a farmer, and I went into the GDB to get a small loan for that farmer because the farmer had a little contract that he had to do. And the representative of GDB, I think the guy was called Karen, very nice fella. Within 5 minutes, he had approved the farmer for the loan. And he said to the farmer, bring back what you need to on Tuesday, and we'll be up on your farm inspecting, and within 2 weeks, you'll have that money in your account.
Well, that is good. We have not been petting GDB, Over the years, we have not been petting them. And sometimes shock therapy works.
Yeah, but that was so excellent. The farmer came out of that meeting smiling. I say yes. And I say I must share that with other farmers. There are facilities for farmers at GDB, small loans, etc. And it's very, very easy. The requirements are very, very easy. Some of the loan, the smaller amount, is unsecured. So you don't have to put up no land, no nothing. You just have a plan how you're going to pay back.
Now, that is the purpose GDB started in Gary Dozen. To meet farmers, the huskers, the vendors, the people in the informal sector that the bank don't like. Anytime the bank see them, the bank face does get vexed.
The bank say, where's your record?
These are high-risk people. Yes, so government came in and started the GDB bank to help these people. Because, you see, we have to understand, these people employ a significant percentage of the population.
Yes, 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 yes. And Mr. Pierre, I wanted share my views, in terms of really practically developing the rural economy and farmers. So
But
I say,
before you go there, what about water? Does the
oh,
farmers need water? Because we want to make some suggestion on
yes,
what we need to address the
yeah,
challenges facing the farmers.
yeah. So I was speaking to one of the most prominent farmers on island this morning to just let him know I was going to be on a podcast and his view. And one of the things he says is water. He says we have to move away from this pump and gasoline and pumping from river or wherever. We have to use drip irrigation because Grenada is hilly and we have to use the hills to our advantages. He says we must use drip irrigation for farmers now. The second thing I had asked him is, does marketing board work? And he says, of course, marketing board.
Before you go in marketing, but let me stay on water for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Water. Because every time you listen to the ministry export and others talk about food security.
Uh-huh.
But every time we have a little dry season, and a little dry season, not so hard,
Mm-hmm.
the farmers cannot produce.
And that's what the person was saying who I spoke to. And he was saying that we have created...
Remember the number to call is 410-3030.
410-3030.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was saying we have to change that. We have to use the drip irrigation in terms of farming all year round. And I said, whoa, yeah, I could understand that. He says it's too expensive otherwise. We have to use the drip irrigation system because we're hilly and water is all around above.
Gravitational flow.
Yeah, gravitational flow, you were telling me.
Now, if we recognize what needs to be done, we know the farmers want water. So when government or stakeholders or the bank or whoever addressing the farmers or extension officers, one of the factors that must be discussed is water.
Yes, yes.
Where am I going to get water to water my plants when it don't have water?
Yeah, and Mr. Pierre, I wrote up a project for drip irrigation water in our area, in what I call the Bel Air Crossroads with Herman and Paraclete and Gut and going back to Dunfermline. That drip irrigation, we have water, I think they call the area Magadoon.
Magadoon.
Right. And that
natural spring.
Yeah. And
St. Philip.
Yeah, and that's just
have about 3 or 4 springs.
Yeah, just been dripping for years. And the project has been approved and was supposed to be rolled out in the first quarter of 2024. Now I'm hearing it's the last quarter of 2024.
Well, it might be the last quarter of 2026.
Oh, God. So I'm hoping that we do that because that drip irrigation coming down and going all the way down to Dunfermline, will benefit about 10 farmers.
So when we have to zero in on what are the challenges, because the farmers have been tricked.
Yeah.
Either by themselves, by their children, or other stakeholders. They're getting the shitty end of the stick.
Yeah.
And the farmers doesn't seem to know what they want.
Yeah.
So we talk about appropriate legislation and water. So go ahead now.
Yeah.
MNIB. Marketing board or an organization that could do a better work than marketing.
Yeah. So this person has been involved in marketing board at senior level, strategic level, etc. And he was saying to me, in terms of farming, Josh, marketing board has the monopoly on rice, sugar, flour, and he says probably 1 or 2 other things. Now, the profit from these commodities must be used for farming. So like the fertilizers and all those things. You use the profit from marketing board to stimulate the local economy and the farming community by giving them this product at very affordable cost. I say, whoa, I didn't think about that, boy. That's a good idea. He says that has to be done. Marketing board is a must. Marketing board is viable. What we've had is marketing board being led by people who don't naturally gravitate towards the
They
goal.
were not businessmen. They were not farmers. They lead an organization down the drain. And the farmers stay quiet.
Oh, Lord,
It's
yeah.
as simple. The facts have to be there. The MNIB and MNIB have to be subsidized.
Yeah.
If New Zealand could have sold snow, they would have subsidized it. The United States of America is paying farmers not to farm.
Yeah. So subsidy
Is must.
is a must. But he was convinced, and he's a very successful businessman. He is convinced that a marketing board as an institution and as a link between farmer and the wider community is a must. And, I have to agree with it. Sometimes things don't work and we blame the institution. And it's not the institution, but it's the people who are put in place to make the institution work. So we have to get it right. I mean, sometimes what I thought about Mr. Pierre this morning, and it was a sad thought. I came to the conclusion that people are comfortable with failure. They're comfortable with things not working. And therefore, in order to get their comfort zone, they make things don't work, So they feel comfortable. So the narrative is one that
They're they're walking around with a briefcase or certificate on their head and a bag of problem.
Yeah.
And they like that.
Yeah.
Every time you see a problem.
Yeah.
What do you buy me? Waist hurting me, my back hurting me, problem. And everybody like problem.
Yeah.
The minister comes in. What is the problem here? And they spend all day looking for problem.
Yeah.
Problem.
They're looking for
Little
problems.
children.
Yeah.
Parents say, use trouble.
Yeah.
Trouble.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if the norm has become, problems, challenge problems, and people work to make things, a problem. I take the Poultry Association, for example. The Poultry Association had about, 200,000 in terms of cash. It had another asset of about 100,000 in debts owing to it. Very successful. The minister came to an AGM, and it was Minister Bain at the time. And she said, but I'm not giving all you any money, all you self-sufficient. And then we had a group of people who got elected on the board. And within 3 months, they bankrupt the association. They bought, produce or chicks for themselves. They never paid. They kept giving members on the board more and more credit who never paid. We had one member on the board who owed in excess of $60,000, and the chairman kept giving him more credit, And, the new president sold chicks to himself, never paid, and then wiped out the records when he left.
Yeah.
And that was moving from an organization that was so well respected by government, that had cash in the bank, that had a business system that worked very well. But within 3 months, a group of 7 people destroyed it, including a policeman who's an inspector of police.
You see, again, the Ministry of Agriculture. Because the Poultry Association failed before, And extension officers went, take it and revive it.
Yes.
And after the ministry fired the extension officer. So you have these challenges.
Yeah, but that was one of the fundamental problem in terms
So as far as we're concerned, we must have a body assisting the farmers, whether you call it MNIB, NIB, whatever name you put it, to help to facilitate the process.
Yeah.
Most countries
A
recognize
marketing agent.
a marketing agent.
It must have a marketing agent in terms of its produce, etc. And it must be structured in a way that the farmers
Remember,
share
the
the
number to
profit.
call is 410-3030.
Yeah.
What other factors you believe? What's about financing?
Yeah, I think financing is a good one, and we could talk on financing. But I don't want to finish the program and don't talk about
Well, time runs faster when you're
linking
speaking about agriculture.
linking agriculture to tourism and how we've set up a system not to work. So financing, I think financing is going to be easy because if we can move from a system of I'll call you when I want something to a contract system, I think that's game done. It's a game changer. And I think what I saw from GDB, last week, I think there's a genuine will to, finance agriculture.
What's about farmers financing themselves? Because you see, Grenada have over 58,000 vehicles. Farmers own the land, and the big gorge in Grenada are farmers. A lot of them. And their children is not part of the farming community. What's about farmers providing venture capital for their little children? Are the children to get involved in agriculture?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. And one of the things I wanted to share, I don't know, I've been talking so much this morning, I don't know if I shared it yet. In terms of reviving agriculture, what I would like to see, what I would strongly recommend to whoever's in power is that we look at creating economic development zone in the parishes. So St. Andrews.
St. Andrews is the breadbasket of agriculture.
St. Andrews is the big basket. Why don't we get a team together and say your job is to create economic development, economic benefits in St. Andrews.
And we can use it as a pilot project.
Yes, yeah. And you have, 3 or 5 years to do that. This is your goal. And that is so workable because what we know, the current system doesn't work.
So you have an agricultural economic zone in St. Andrews.
Yes.
And you do it apolitical. So you involve all the stakeholders, including the opposition.
Yeah.
They must agree, like how Europe have consensus.
Yeah.
If one disagree on a particular thing, we don't go on it.
Everybody has
so there will
be
continuity.
Yeah.
Even if a government change, St. Andrews, we declare St. Andrews as a agricultural economic zone.
Development
bam,
zone.
Bam, bam, bam.
And ask me where the money should come from.
Well, the money could come from GDB, it could come from contract farming, it could come from venture capital.
The money has to come from the transformation fund in terms of citizen buying.
You have a lot of hope.
If that's going to transform anything, it should be used to transform agriculture. I know there's a lot of people who want the building in St. George's and the building here and the building there and all kind of building and,
You see, you have a lot of hope.
I have more than hope, man. This is a small country.
I don't have much hope on them. It's not that they couldn't do it, but we want to be very practical. So you could have the GDB bank contract, looking for contract,
all of those
venture capital, and CBI.
Yeah.
CBI have a lot of money now. They don't know what to do with it. So you could put some money from CBI in agriculture. St. Andrews Agricultural Economic Zone. The details and discussion we could work out.
Yeah, and we have to stop this nonsense about GDB and some kind of bureaucrat working with the green climate.
Time move fast. One of the issues is marketing. Yes, we talk about MNIB, but marketing. Because some farmers, marketing is important, and transportation.
Yeah.
So, for instance, we may have a market in the United States, but if tourists don't come, we don't produce enough to hire a plane. So, for instance, like Sauce Up, anytime Mexico get involved in selling fresh sauce up to the United States, Coco Jenna pie,
Yes.
boss.
Yeah. But let's look at it and let's stick to credible things that we have control. So we have control to a degree with the hotels and linking agriculture. We have control to a degree with the school feeding program. We have to a degree control with the populace day-to-day food needs. So there is enough market available for the farm produce. What we haven't had is an organized and coordinated system that we could channel the produce to where it needs to go. And if marketing board works efficiently, and it doesn't have to be marketing board, it could be a private enterprise as well working alongside marketing board. If you bring in that efficiency from business world, you don't have a problem with where the food gonna go, where transport gonna get, and all the rest of it. The entrepreneurs is gonna find a way to pick up the farmers' goods, and I say that confidently because I'm involved in terms of that kind of business at the moment, and I could tell you when the entrepreneur needs his product. If he have to travel from Grenville to St. George's to get it to bring it to his suppliers, he's gonna do it.
Well, definitely, marketing is an important thing. And I believe the Ministry of Agriculture have a marketing arm or advertising arm or whatever. They have somebody involved in marketing.
Yeah, Mr.
Obviously, it's a position.
Yeah, but Mr. Pierre, I don't want to cross swords with you, but you're talking about
We
institutions.
go put the swords together. Where agriculture is, we're crossing swords. We're provoking discussion about swords.
But Mr. Pierre, the ministry has not worked and has not delivered in terms of the day-to-day problems of agriculture. And I'm not sure if that their kind of brief is to solve the day-to-day problems of agriculture. Their goal, as far as I'm concerned, should be to create that enabling environment and that technical assistance for farmers, and even get grants for farmers, because there's a lot of grants all over the region. There's a lot of grant in the bigger world, and I think they should concentrate on that, the technical aspect of it. But sometimes we have this thing of, as long as you're a government agency, it's like, you become mother, father, God to everybody.
But basically, as we provoke discussion, we're very positive now. When you're talking, you're positive, It's the practicality. So we expect things to change.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, if we're able to wake up the ministry, they're going to advertise the use, market more eggs.
Yeah.
Let people eat more eggs.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we'll consume more eggs in Grenada.
There's so much that we can do if we have the right will and the plan to do it, It's like everything is in there, but it's fragmented. That's why I say an economic development zone for St. Andrews. And let's get people who know how to run a business to coordinate the systems in St. Andrews. And as you say, let it be a pilot project in terms of, because look, what we've been doing for the last 50 years or so, or even more, has not worked, is not working. Why are we still using a model that does not work?
And we enjoy it.
Yeah, because
become
it's
very romantic.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a cocoa farmer. How
Yeah.
much
We
cocoa
have-
you sell?
Yeah.
10 bucket. It's very romantic.
Yeah.
So sometimes we like it.
Yeah.
But we need to make money.
Yeah.
We need to understand that when you're involved in agriculture, you need to make money.
Yeah, and we need to contribute to the national purse so that our country can grow and develop. Our roads, sometimes none of them have, a little pavement on the side.
But we
for
have the
people to
best,
walk.
in all fairness to Grenada, Grenada have one of the best network
A network.
of roads in the Caribbean. And we have the most four-wheel drive.
Yeah.
And four-wheel drive is for off-road,
Yeah.
bad road. We
Yeah,
have
but
four-wheel drive.
some of the roads are like off-road. What you talking about?
We have more time how much time we have on the program. So we have a lot of time.
Oh, yeah.
So
let me-
yes, we spoke about appropriate legislation. We spoke about water. We spoke about the invaluable necessity of MNIB or an organization. We spoke about financing and we spoke about marketing. What does the farmers need?
Yeah. So, and the things are linked. We isolate them so that we can talk about
So we
them.
could talk about linkage now with tourism.
Yeah.
That is a big one.
Yeah, that's a big one, because if you create the proper linkage between agriculture and tourism, you are going to have a boost in St. Andrews and a boost in St. David's and a boost in St. Mark's and a boost in St. John, and you're going to have the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique being fed properly. All the produce that they need every week will get to
Those
them.
people from Carriacou might take issue, they remember they have St. Bart's, they have Guadeloupe, they have Martinique.
Yeah.
And they always believe they don't really need Grenada.
Yeah, but they're great nationalists, and they're very, what can I say? I was going to say very rich people, and they're rich in
Of
terms
course,
of
they're rich.
initiative and plans.
Why you think the bank boss in Carriacou, they have 80 million in saving and 5 million in loan? The bank boss.
Oh, God.
Coats go up there, coats couldn't survive it. They watch what coats have and they just bring it in from Martinique and etc.
And I was in Brooklyn, and the most progressive, people that I met were from Carriacou. They had a way of supporting people from Carriacou, whether in sports, education, etc.
I don't think they too like them Grenadian. But nothing wrong with that. That is a big island, small island syndrome.
All right.
Union Island don't like St. Vincent too much.
Yeah.
Tobago don't like Trinidad.
Yeah.
And Carriacou don't too like Grenadian. One prominent lawyer that like weed,
Yeah.
he say he want to partition Carriacou.
Yeah.
And he don't care if they align with New Zealand.
Mr. Pierre, I have a dream. I have a dream that just as on certain days you could go to Grenville, port, and you see the amount of fresh produce in, different boxes, etc., going to Trinidad, and, all the farmers are there on the port, that one day we will have those fresh produce all lined up going to Carriacou every week, and it will be profitable to Grenadians, it will be profitable to people from Carriacou and Petit Martinique. We will have that inter-island trade that's going to be circular and beneficial.
Carriacou have a number of things that they could send to Grenada.
Yeah.
Carriacou used to send on groundnuts, a number of things to Grenada.
Yeah.
And now they grow a lot of, is watermelon, they call this melon? Melon. And some of them have a lot of sauce up there, and etc. And small ruminant.
And they
Small ruminant.
And a chicken industry. I used to send chickens up there every week.
Grenada used to export 2 to 3 to 500 small ruminant sheep and goat per week in Trinidad. Now a pound mutton is between $15 to $20 a pound.
Whoa.
And does the authorities that be see this industry worthy of improving?
That's why you need an economic development zone that's run independently of government, but with government as well. Because in order to make a
How you going to run
work,
independent from government and with government?
Yeah, we have to link things.
Government must give support.
Yeah.
Government have to have the legislation, the policy.
The enabling environment. So let me make an appeal to government or anybody who wants to listen. The real benefit in tourism for Grenada, Petit Martinique, and Carriacou is the linkage. And at the moment, it doesn't make sense for the hotel to buy local produce, because we've created a situation whereby it's cheaper for the hotels to import their food than to buy from local. And that's because our policies that has been created for the hotels has been a deterrent to buy local food. And unless our politician can address that, you are basically holding the farmers back behind the hand and chaining it. You cannot have that situation in your own country persisting. You cannot be satisfied with the fact that the lawyers are making, hundreds of thousands from the CBI project, and there's no trickle down to the ordinary man. There has to be a change. We've used that system in the past whereby benefit for the few, the 1%, the 2%. And we're doing it again with the CBI project. These things has to be stopped. There must be some compassion.
How are we going to stop it?
The people have power.
Because
the people have power. It has to go in the
we
next
constantly
manifesto.
talk about linkage. And sometimes I hear farmers talking about agriculture and tourism must link.
Yeah.
And I ask him, well, who holding the link?
Yeah.
You hold link? Because the link is between the entrepreneur, the lawyers, the politicians, the people in the hotel industry.
Yeah.
The farmers is a pawn in the game.
Yeah.
And when a politician or academia come to the farmers and tell the farmers this thing, it's not a paper you're writing for a thesis. You don't write in paper for doctorate. The farmers will ask you what you mean by link.
Yeah.
What you mean by link.
Yeah.
You say linkage, well, you confuse the farmer. I cannot get my product sold to the hotel. The hotel tell me bring 300 pounds of potato. I brought 300 pounds. After 2 weeks, they say bring 50 pounds. So the potato that I produce spoiled. And then 3 months after that, the hotel called me and said, we want 500 pounds.
Yeah.
Well, the hotel set me up to fail.
Yeah, and a lot of
and
that
then the
happened.
hotel goes to the government and say, we don't have no potato. We go bring on a container load.
Yeah.
The
That
farmer is being shaft, and they don't seem to have any rescue.
and nobody to represent them. And
Where is the farmer's children?
yeah.
It's the farmer's children that are in the bank. They're in the hotel. They are the politician. They screw their parents.
Yeah, so that is it. But I first came across linking agriculture to tourism. I think in 2013, there was a structural adjustment program at the time with the World Bank and the IMF, and I happened to be one of the representative in terms of civil society. In terms of those discussions, and the head of the mission, from the IMF, was saying that she had done her thesis on linking agriculture to tourism, so that was her background. And if we want to gain employment and work towards food security, that has to be done. But there's no policy in place, there's no legislation in place to do that, to make that work. There's no regulation in place to make that work. So again, we have pie in the sky kind of ideas and no practical enforcement to make it a reality. And who is the one who suffers most from that? It's the farming community and the populace of Grenada.
I have said on many occasions, if you're going to bring in a consultant or some director or manager in agriculture, I want to know what he manages for. Yes, I see a brilliant certificate. But did you ever manage a pig pen? If you go to the University of the West Indies and you watch the university farm, you may not rear pigs. If you go to the University of the West Indies and you ask them about the rabbit pen, they have a name, let's call it rabbitry or whatever the case may be, and you ask, how much rabbit do I have to rear to get an income of $3,000 a month? The professor can tell you how much small ruminant, how much pigs I have to rear, so I could get an income of $3,000 a month. And when am I going to break even? And I use $3,000 because government of Grenada believe that if you're not owning $3,000, you're broken, you're vulnerable, you're poor.
Below the poverty line.
That is why they don't charge you personal income tax. Well, we run into the end of the program, so
yeah, but Mr. Pierre, I've
you have
been
a few
poor
things
all
to
my
say.
life in Grenada. I just didn't know.
Well, a lot of Grenadians don't know the Po.
Right.
I've been telling a girl the last time, your Po.
Yeah.
She have a car, her spouse have a car. Now careful these days, eh? I ain't saying boyfriend again. Your spouse have a car. Both of all your government employees. Every time you have to go to the mechanic, you want to cry. You poor. You shouldn't have vehicle. Better you ride bike. You can't maintain the vehicle. It's easy to buy a vehicle. When you have to pay insurance, put gas, and put tire, you poor. But she
Yeah.
don't know she poor. She thinks she
Yeah.
rich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I felt it. I mean, I had a bill of.
We have 2 minutes again, and that 2 minutes is yours.
Yeah. Well, I was just quick. I had a bill of 2,000 for my car, and a month later, another 1,500. I was below the poverty line. All right. So, people, we've had that discussion today in terms of what are the issues and what are the solutions to agriculture. I hope between myself and Mr. Pierre, we've identified and highlighted many of the issues and many of the solutions. We're not just talking, but what I want to really advocate strongly is that we have the creation of an economic development zone for St. Andrews. St. Andrews has been languishing for too long. You know, also, I would encourage farmers to contact the GDB for the small business development loan. You'd be pleasantly surprised of how helpful GDB can be. But the solution to our current problems are within all of us. And I hope all of us have the courage to accept the responsibility and start solving our problems. Government has a big hand to play. The new marketing board coming on stream has a big hand to play. But we're in a powerful position. We have good land, good soil. It costs a bit to get it going. But I
Well,
think,
my brother, we have to continue with that discussion.
yeah,
And remember, we are in Studio Galaxy 473 in Confero, and we provoke discussion. The topic today was, what can we do to address the challenges facing farmers?
yeah.
And we have made some suggestion, but we make those suggestions to provoke discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.